All right, we're going to react to a little mock draft here from our friend over at ESPN, Mel Kiper. He's interesting. Hey, what's going on? I'm Matt O'Leary back with another video, and today I'll be talking about Mel Kiper Jr.'s mock draft. Before we get started today, I just wanted to mention that you can follow me on social media at Matt O'Leary NY. If you haven't already, please make sure to check out the Just Jets podcast. You can subscribe to the show wherever it is you get your podcast or right here on the YouTube channel. Also, the Just Jets Clips channel, rebranded. It's now Matt O'Leary NY Extra, so there's going to be different kind of content going on over there. The clips are still going to be posted up over there. I'm doing clips from Mock Draft Monday and different Patreon stuff, so that leads me to the next thing. If you haven't subscribed to the Patreon, maybe do it. $5 a month gets you bonus content, Mock Draft Mondays, player write-ups, Jets analytics, and more coming soon that I can't get into just yet. So let's talk about our friend Mel Kiper at ESPN. Famously once said that if Jimmy Clausen doesn't go in the first round or doesn't pan out, I'm hanging it up. Well, he hasn't hung it up. That was over a decade ago at this point, right? 2010 draft or 2000, in that era. Yeah, because Cam Newton was the first pick of 2011 draft. So it must have been 2010. I don't care for his mock drafts. They always seem to be out there or different. And he's so I don't know, I feel like he's very full of himself. And I get it. He's a legend in the industry. I don't want to completely bash on the guy or hate on the guy, but I don't tend to agree with his evaluations or just philosophy when it comes to the draft. So I'm not going to agree with his draft. And for his 2 picks for the New York Jets, it's interesting. So at pick 4, he has the Jets taking the first wide receiver off the board, and that wide receiver is Drake London. Now, at pick 10, I think the Jets should go wide receiver, but I think it's more important to address edge rusher, which I would do at pick 4, which Kayvon Thibodeau was on the board. At that point, you could have pulled the trigger there. And I know some people are very much so off the KT bandwagon. I don't think there's anything I could say to get you back on, but if you've never left, you understand why I also have never left. So I'm not going to try to sell to people who aren't on it. And if you do agree with me, well, you know the reasons why at this point. I think he's a premier pass rusher and someone that I wouldn't pass up on at pick 4. But nonetheless, it's Drake London, which I question, because I guess technically there's a chance he could be the first wide receiver off the board. I would assume Garrett Wilson more than likely is going to be the first wide receiver off the board, but pick 8 seems like the first spot to Atlanta where a wide receiver can go. And even if you do lose out on Garrett Wilson there, then okay, take London, or I prefer Traylon Burks, but whatever. Take Traylon, Jameson Williams even. I don't know. To me, it just seems so obvious that wide receiver at 4, based on how things are going, is just a terrible, terrible process. Why? There's, with the amount of people that fell beyond that, if that's really what you wanted to do, trade down a couple of picks. It's just strange. And I guess there weren't any trades in that mock draft or whatever, but still, it just, a wide receiver at pick 4, especially Drake London, does not make a whole lot of sense. Even if it was Garrett Wilson at 4, I would say that's bizarre. No, I would more than likely guess it's going to be either edge rusher or, even though I don't agree with it, offensive line. I think it's going to be one of those 2 positions at pick 4. Maybe I'm wrong and it's Sauce Gardner. We saw another mock draft that had Sauce Gardner going at 4, which would I do that? Maybe not, but it's at least a little bit more sane than going wide receiver at 4. And then that gets to the next pick at Sauce Gardner at 10, which isn't terrible, right? That makes sense. I think he's the best cornerback in this class, although the Jets did just sign DJ Reed, who is going to be a starter. I like Bryce Hall as a number 2 corner. I would look on day 2 or day 3 to round out the rest of this room, but if the Jets came away and their first 2 picks, one of them wasn't edge rusher, I'd be pretty upset, especially knowing what I know about, or what everyone knows about, the Robert Saleh and Greg Olbrich, or Jeff Olbrich. I don't know why I always do that. Jeff Olbrich defense. And we heard Joe Douglas say how much he's prioritizes the line of scrimmage. And, well, they would then pretty much be banking on a day 2 player and Carl Lawson coming off an injury to be your edge presence, which is a major, major, major risk. Sure, you could hit on guys in the later rounds. That's fine. I get it. But when someone who was looked at as the number 1 overall pick for pretty much a 6-month span, and then he somehow is falling to pick 7, I can't compute that. That doesn't make sense to me, especially when it's at a position of need, and especially when the Jets beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. A majority of the same people who are now saying you can't possibly touch Kayvon Thibodeau were the ones saying that, damn, they lost that game, or they beat the Jaguars. Now they lost out on Kayvon Thibodeau or Aiden Hutchinson. It's just this around and round we go of the takes here, but it's that time of year. Just wanted to react to this because this kind of blew up Twitter yesterday, and rightfully so, because it's a bad mock. Sorry, I don't want to be a jerk. I don't want to be the bad guy, but it was not a mock draft that I was very fond of. So I wanted to get my thoughts out there. Let me know in the comments below. Did you like the mock draft? What would you do in that spot? How would you have done it differently? Let me know. I'm Matt O'Leary. Subscribe here if you're new, and I'll talk to you next time.